Welcome to my channel, The Stoic Way. There's a moment every man remembers. The look that felt like something. The silence that felt louder than words. The connection you almost touched but never confirmed. And years later, it still bothers you. Because what if she was interested and you misread it completely? Before we go deeper, take 1 second, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and stay with me because what I'm about to explain is rarely said out loud. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. I'm speaking to you not as entertainment, but as a psychologist who's watched thousands of men misunderstand the same signals again and again. Not because you're unaware, not because you're inexperienced, but because female attraction doesn't announce itself the way male attraction does. It hides, it tests, it observes. The first misread sign is emotional neutrality. When a woman likes you, she often pulls back emotionally instead of leaning in. Men expect warmth, enthusiasm, obvious excitement. But many women, especially emotionally intelligent ones, become controlled, measured, almost calm around the man they're drawn to. Not because they don't care, but because they care too much. Attraction raises risk, and risk triggers self-regulation. So when she's calm with you but expressive with others, your mind says friend, her nervous system says protect this. The second misread sign is inconsistency. One day she's engaged, curious, present. The next day she's distant. Men interpret this as games or lack of interest, but psychologically inconsistency often signals internal conflict. Desire battling self-doubt, interest colliding with fear of vulnerability. A woman who feels nothing stays consistent. A woman who feels too much fluctuates. The third misread sign is challenging behavior. She questions you, pushes back, tests your frame, disagrees openly. Many men assume attraction equals agreement. In reality, women are most curious about men they don't want to pedestalize prematurely. Challenge is engagement. It's her way of seeing how solid you are under pressure. If you've ever walked away thinking, if she liked me, it would have been obvious. Understand this. Female attraction is rarely obvious to the man it's directed at because it's filtered through caution, social conditioning, and emotional intelligence. And this is just the beginning. The fourth misread sign is oversharing without flirting. When a woman opens up to you emotionally, talks about her past, her fears, her ambitions, but doesn't flirt overtly, many men place themselves in the safe friend category and mentally exit. That's a mistake. Psychologically, emotional disclosure is not neutral. It's selective. Women don't reveal vulnerable internal material to men they feel nothing for. What confuses men is that female attraction often starts with emotional safety before it ever becomes sexual expression. She's not avoiding attraction. She's building a foundation to see if attraction would be safe with you. Here's the part most men don't realize. When a woman shares personal details but doesn't escalate physically, she's observing your response. Do you rush to sexualize it? Do you become performative? Do you stay grounded? Your reaction determines whether attraction grows or quietly shuts down. Many men disqualify themselves by assuming vulnerability equals platonic intent. In reality, it's often the doorway. The fifth misread sign is proximity without pursuit. She finds reasons to be near you. Same space, same group, same timing, but rarely initiates direct contact. Men misinterpret this as coincidence or passivity, but attraction doesn't always drive pursuit. Sometimes it drives positioning. A woman who likes you may place herself in your orbit and wait to see if you notice. Not because she's powerless, but because she's assessing your awareness, confidence, and emotional intelligence. Now let me tell you what connects all 5 signs. Female attraction is rarely about sending a signal. It's about collecting information. Women are constantly reading emotional cues, behavioral consistency, and psychological safety. When she's attracted, she doesn't rush towards certainty. She slows things down to observe more carefully. This is why men who are impatient miss the signs. You're looking for green lights. She's watching how you move in uncertainty. And here's a truth most men were never taught. Attraction is not proven by what she gives. It's revealed by what she risks. Emotional exposure, inconsistency, proximity, challenge, restraint. These are not absent signals. They are risk signals. If you've been confused by women before, it's not because you lack value. It's because you were trained to expect attraction to look like approval. Female attraction often looks like containment. When you stop chasing validation and start observing patterns, everything changes. You no longer ask, does she like me? You ask, is she investing emotionally, positioning herself, and testing my stability? That's when you stop missing what was never meant to be obvious. And there's something even deeper underneath this, something that explains why women hide attraction in the first place. Here's the truth. Most men never hear. Women hide attraction because showing it makes them vulnerable. And vulnerability is dangerous in a world that judges women for desiring freely. That's why signs are subtle, inconsistent, and easily misread. What looks like disinterest is often the opposite: intense internal evaluation, emotional risk assessment, and quiet fascination. Think about the way she mirrors you, your gestures, your energy, your tempo. Many men brush this off as coincidence or friendly rapport. But mirroring is a subconscious signal of comfort and interest. Her body is saying yes even when her words are neutral. And because men are trained to respond to explicit verbal validation, this signal often slips right past you. You walk away thinking she's just friendly, while her nervous system has been quietly lighting up around you. Then there's the way she uses playful teasing. Not every joke is just humor. When a woman tests you with light ridicule, she's probing boundaries, assessing emotional resilience, and gauging confidence. The mistake men make is taking this personally or assuming she dislikes them. In reality, teasing is an early form of intimacy. She's engaging, she's curious, and she's attracted, but in a way that forces you to reveal your strength under subtle pressure. Another signal most menace is prolonged eye contact paired with withdrawal. She looks, she smiles, and then she steps back. Men panic, thinking she's uninterested. She looked at me and left. But that brief, intense attention followed by restraint is classic female attraction. It's her way of testing whether you can handle desire without chasing or clinging. Here's the point. Every sign of attraction you missed is actually a hidden invitation. The problem isn't that she's unclear. The problem is that you're conditioned to look for obvious approval rather than nuanced emotional investment. Women communicate attraction through energy, consistency of engagement, and emotional risk, not through blunt statements. Most men never realize that the woman who seems neutral, inconsistent, or challenging is often the woman most deeply drawn to them. And when you finally understand this, everything about dating, relationships, and female psychology shifts. You start seeing signals that were invisible before. You begin recognizing risk, vulnerability, and subtle interest as the language of desire. This is where awareness changes your life. When you see attraction as subtle, intelligent, and risk-based rather than obvious, you stop missing opportunities. You stop confusing curiosity with neutrality. And you start responding to women in ways that make them feel safe, understood, and drawn to you, or without chasing or overcompensating. What comes next is the secret mechanism women use when attraction grows, but they still hold back. Understanding this is where most men fail completely. Now, let's dive into what most men completely overlook: the energy behind attraction. Women don't just use words or gestures, they use emotional currents. It's subtle, almost imperceptible, but it's powerful. You feel it as tension, curiosity, or warmth in a moment that seems ordinary. Most men label it as friendliness or dismiss it entirely, and that's the trap. When a woman's energy shifts around you, even slightly, it's rarely random. It's a signal of her internal evaluation. She's asking without words, can I trust you with my desire? Notice the little things. She laughs a certain way when you speak, touches her hair or neck when she's nervous around you, leans in subtly, mirrors your posture unconsciously. These micro signals are often drowned out by what men expect: overt compliments, direct flirting, or obvious pursuit. But female attraction doesn't operate on the surface. It's layered, cautious, and always filtered through emotional intelligence. And here's what's critical: women test boundaries constantly. When she challenges you, disagrees, or debates you, she isn't pushing you away, she's seeing how you handle pressure. Can you remain grounded, confident, calm? Men misread this as rejection, but in reality, it's a powerful marker of attraction. Women are wired to seek men who can navigate uncertainty, emotional complexity, and challenge without breaking. Another sign men misread is selective attention. She remembers small details, something you casually mentioned weeks ago, an offhand joke, or a personal preference. If you've ever wondered why she brings up a small detail at the perfect moment, it isn't coincidence. It's evidence that she's emotionally tracking you. Most men miss these cues because they're subtle, but this is how deep female interest often shows itself, through mental and emotional focus rather than obvious physical pursuit. Then there's the paradox of intentional restraint. She could make her feelings clear, escalate interactions, or initiate contact, yet she holds back. Many men misread this as disinterest or mind games. In reality, restraint often reflects desire combined with self-protection. A woman who's genuinely interested will regulate how much she reveals because she wants emotional safety before fully investing her attention or energy. Understanding these dynamics changes everything. What once felt confusing becomes clear. Patterns that seemed frustrating reveal themselves as deliberate signals. Emotional neutrality, teasing, selective attention, restraint, they're all parts of the same puzzle. And once you recognize them, you gain a powerful advantage. You notice desire others overlook, and you respond in ways that create connection, tension, and attraction without forcing anything. Now, here's the mistake that kills attraction before it has a chance to grow. It's subtle but devastating. The biggest reason attraction dies early is mistaking restraint for rejection. You see it constantly. She doesn't reply right away. She keeps some distance in a group. She pauses before responding to a joke or flirtation, and your mind jumps to, she's not interested. But that assumption is exactly what fails the test. She's measuring your awareness, patience, and ability to read nuance. When you panic, overinvest, overexplain, or chase approval, you collapse the balance she's creating. Attraction thrives on a careful mix of attention, curiosity, and tension. Too much pursuit ruins it. Too little awareness, and you miss it entirely. The men who succeed are the ones who read restraint correctly, not as rejection, but as desire under control. Another critical mistake is taking flirtation at face value. She may tease, joke, or touch casually, and men assume it means nothing. In truth, every glance, touch, and laugh passes through emotional evaluation. She's constantly assessing your composure, confidence, and emotional intelligence. Miss those cues, and you miss the entire interaction. Then there's logical overthinking. Men try to decode attraction like a formula. If she does X, she's interested. If she does Y, she's not. That approach fails. Attraction is fluid, emotional, and driven by context. Women aren't following rigid rules. They're evaluating chemistry, safety, and compatibility in real time. Your ability to sense and respond to that flow matters more than analysis. Finally, men misread emotional testing as hostility or games. When she challenges your views, questions your behavior, or contrasts herself with you, she isn't rejecting you. She's observing how you handle pressure. Calm, grounded men become attractive. Reactive, insecure men eliminate themselves. If you've ever felt like a woman was interested, then suddenly disappeared, this is why. You weren't rejected. You misread restraint and subtle signals. Female attraction isn't loud. It's quiet, evaluative, emotional, and intelligent. Once you understand this, everything shifts. You stop chasing, stop panicking, and start seeing what's actually happening. And the next layer, the hidden behavioral patterns that reveal deep attraction, will make this undeniable. Let's go deeper. Most men look for obvious signs like flirting, compliments, or physical escalation. But real interest shows up in subtle, unconscious behaviors she can't fully control. The first is micro-engagements, tiny, almost unnoticeable interactions. brief touches on your arm, leaning slightly closer, adjusting her posture when you enter the room. These are signals of connection. She's not doing them consciously. Her body is betraying her desire. Many men dismiss these as coincidences, but in reality, they're windows into her internal state. Then there's emotional calibration. When a woman is attracted, she subtly mirrors your mood and energy. You feel it as harmony or intensity in her presence. This isn't flattery, it's subconscious alignment. If she laughs when you laugh, shifts when you shift, or quiets when you're serious, her nervous system is syncing with yours. That's a strong, often overlooked marker of attraction. Another critical pattern is time investment. She finds ways to include you in her life without overtly declaring interest. Shared routines, private jokes, remembered details. These are not random acts of friendliness. They are evidence she values your attention and presence. Men frequently overlook this because they confuse effort with obligation. But effort directed at you consistently, thoughtfully, and without immediate reward signals attraction. Then there's controlled vulnerability. She lets you see pieces of herself, opinions, insecurities, ambitions, but never all at once. This isn't rejection or hesitation. It's careful emotional testing. Women are wired to reveal in increments, watching how a man handles each layer before offering more. If you miss the first signs and assume neutrality, you fail before the connection can deepen. Finally, notice selective exclusivity. She may interact differently with you than with others, giving more attention, laughing more genuinely, or showing subtle preference. This doesn't guarantee commitment, but it is a clear pattern of attraction. Men often miss this because they look for loud, obvious signals, while women communicate through small, consistent emotional cues. Once you learn to read these patterns, everything shifts. What once felt confusing becomes predictable. You begin to recognize attraction even when it's hidden, subtle, or seemingly contradictory. You stop chasing approval and start responding with confidence, presence, and awareness. The final truth is uncomfortable, yet empowering. Women don't need to say they're interested. They show it in ways most men never learn to see. The difference between missing attraction and claiming it comes down to your ability to observe, understand, and respond correctly. The final piece ties everything together and shows how to use this awareness to create attraction that feels natural, magnetic, and impossible to ignore. Here's the truth that changes everything. Once you can read subtle attraction, your entire approach to women, dating, and relationships transforms. Men waste years chasing signals that don't exist, overanalyzing minor gestures, and panicking over silence. But when you truly understand female attraction, you stop reacting and start perceiving. The most powerful shift always begins with awareness. You begin to see restraint, inconsistency, teasing, emotional sharing, and micro-engagements, not as obstacles, but as invitations. Invitations to respond with calm, confidence, and presence. Women are drawn to men who understand the dance without forcing it. Men who panic, overcompensate, or misread subtle cues inadvertently push her away. Men who perceive and respond appropriately become magnetic. Then there's the power of patience. Understanding attraction isn't about immediate results. It's about observing patterns, respecting emotional pacing, and knowing when to engage and when to hold back. Women are testing, evaluating, and positioning, always subtly. If you can match that tempo, if you can maintain composure while reading the signals, you're no longer chasing attraction. You're allowing it to grow naturally. Confidence comes next, but not the shallow confidence most men believe matters. This is deep, secure confidence that comes from understanding psychology and emotional dynamics. You know what signals matter, which ones are tests, and which are genuine. That knowledge gives you calm authority. You don't need validation because you can read desire accurately. That certainty is irresistible. Finally, integration is key. Every signal, emotional neutrality, teasing, selective attention, micro-engagement, controlled vulnerability is a piece of a larger map. When you connect them, you don't just understand female attraction, you predict it. You respond in ways that make her feel safe, seen, and drawn to you without needing to chase or manipulate. You move from confusion to clarity, from frustration to magnetism. Remember this, attraction is rarely obvious. It's subtle, intelligent, and risk-averse. Women communicate it through energy, restraint, and carefully measured engagement. Most men miss it entirely because they expect it to be explicit. But when you learn to see what others overlook, you step into a realm where connection is almost inevitable. So watch closely, listen carefully, and respond wisely. Observe the subtle signs, honor her pace, and hold your presence steady. This is how men go from being overlooked to unforgettable. This is how you stop misreading her signals and start becoming the man she notices and can't ignore. You now have the roadmap others never teach, the insight most men lack, and the psychological edge that turns hidden interest into undeniable attraction. Use it wisely. Thanks for watching. If you found like this video, please press the bell icon and subscribe to my channel, The Stoic Way. Thank you.